Hello guys and welcome to Frank's Handyman. Today we're going to be looking at a different type of task. We're doing a bunch of miscellaneous things, starting off by doing some touch up here with paint. Some of the borders here, they were not really well painted. Somebody else painted these, but we just went back and did a touch up for a client that we have been here previously. We installed the flooring. We didn't do the painting, but since they did have some little mishaps here, as you can see right there, they called us back and asked us if we could go do the touch-ups, and so we went back and finished all of their touch-ups here. Once he got to this point, we were practically almost over. He just went back to the first room we started painting. We saw that it was already dry, so we just did a little bit more touch-ups there, and then we moved on to a different job here. And what we're going to be doing for this client is that we're just going to be fixing some of her closet doors. As you can see, this one's cracked a little bit and this one was not well connected. So what we're going to do with this one is that we're going to put a little bit of glue and then we're going to put a screw there. That way it gets back attached. And as you can see, once he put the screw on there, it came out looking great. So all he has to do now is just put this door back in there. And once he put it back in, he has to loosen this up a little bit. That way it could slide and then he could put in the top part of the door. And as you can see now that he closed it down, it came out looking great. So this one was done. Now we moved on to a second door that they had. Right here, we're going to be unscrewing all of this part here. Some of the holes that were screwed on previously were damaged. So what he's going to do is he's going to unscrew all of this here, and then he's just going to move it up a little bit higher. That way we can make new screws and new holes there, and then that way the doors are attached to each other. Once he finished putting the screws on this one, you could see that there were the bottom ones there, the ones that were damaged, so that's why we moved it up a little bit. And then he's just going to tighten up here the space, and once he puts the door back in, you're going to see that it also worked perfectly, as you see here. And so once we got done with this job, we're going to be moving on to a different project for a customer whose doorbell wasn't working, and so we had to move on to their location to fix their doorbell. Right here, he just cleaned out all the little dust and maybe all the debris that's in there. We always make sure to take everything out with the blade here, that way some of the paint does not come off. What he's gonna do now, he's just testing to see if there's electricity on it, and there is. So there's a current running, and what we're gonna do, move that little spring right here that you see there and move it up a little bit, and also put some of this here, that way it smooths it out. And once we hit and click the button for the doorbell, it should hit it up and ring it a lot better. The only reason she was calling in is because when you ring the doorbell, it would only go ding, it wouldn't do the dong. And so once we did this and tested it out, then eventually it started working again. And then all he had to do at this point was just screw everything back in and also put the cap. Once you put the cap back on, now we moved on to a different job, which was the last one for the day, which was installing this closet doors here. And as you see here, this is the closet that we're going to be putting the doors in. Now that we got the material upstairs, what he's going to do is just open them up right now. And before he installs the doors, he's going to be painting the knobs first with white paint. That way, once they dry up, all he has to do is screw them back in. And first, before installing the doors, he has to take off the old railing. As you see here, this screw goes at the bottom of the door and it's going to be connecting to the bottom floor. There's a little cap on top right there, and that helps adjust if you want to move it a little bit higher or a little bit lower. And this right here is the wheel that's going to be moving it side to side. And now he's going to be putting on the new rail. He's just screwing it on here. There's 3 screws that go across for half of the railing, so that's what he's doing right now. And now this is the second rail that goes on the right side, but first he's going to be putting the door on the left side here. And sometimes working with these doors, you have to put them on and then take them off just to make sure that there's really no issues there when you open them. And also what we realized with this carpet, it was really high, and so he had to make a couple of adjustments. And like I said and mentioned earlier, there's that little cap that goes on the bottom of the door to adjust and make it go either a little bit higher or a little bit lower. But the thing with this carpet, it was just too high, and so eventually he's gonna take it off and then he's gonna make a trim at the very bottom of the door. And as you can see here, that it takes a little bit of difficulty to open the door, so he's gonna have to make that cut. What he's gonna do right now is draw all the outline of the line that he's gonna have to cut. Once he finished the cuts, now he's going to bring the door back in and see if it worked. And you'll see that once he puts it all back in, it worked perfectly. It slides really well and it was no longer an issue. Right before this, you're going to see a before and after picture of the doors, and you'll see that it came out looking great. Tomorrow we're going to be doing a whole new different project, so stay tuned for tomorrow to see what we have going on, and I hope you have a great day.